Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug.Show. My name's Doug Cunnington, and this is a special episode. It's actually being recorded, quote, live. So I am at a conference called Fincon, and today I'm going to talk about the costs of going to a conference. So I did prepare a little bit and wrote out some of the line items, and I'm going to go through each of the costs here. I'll probably go on a tangent here or there. And I am at the podcast booth. There's like a huge sort of auditorium, just open space. And there's a lot of booths set up. There's a lot of, authors around here. There's different companies and sponsors and stuff like that. You know how conferences are. And one cool thing, so my friend Chelsea Clarke at, I forget the name of her. It's like Blogs for Sale, something or other. She's probably going to come over when she has a second. So she's just over there. She does have to be at the booth to make sure she could chat with people and all that. But I told her I was recording. She's going to pop over. She's going to interrupt me in the middle of whatever it is I'm talking about. And we're going to, actually, I'm not even sure what we're going to talk about. We'll figure it out when she gets over here. And the other cool thing is Ezoic, one of the podcast and YouTube sponsors. They have a booth here as well. So I don't think it's anyone that I know that's going to be here, but I will know them after I go and talk to them. So Ezoic, I'll give them a quick shout out. You can check out their product Leap. It'll help your website load faster. Get green and core web vitals. And Ezoic is cool because you could use products like that. There's no page view minimum, so you can sign up and you can use those products to help your site load faster. They have big data analytics, which I was just telling one of my coaching students. He said, I have like Google Analytics 4 and I don't know what's on there. I don't know how to look anything up. I said, well, just go to Big Data Analytics and you'll be able to get to all the details and metrics that you need. So that's great. Anyway, shout out to Ezoic, and Chelsea is going to come over and chat with me about something. So this episode is going to be a little fly by the seat of your pants, my pants, our pants, and we'll figure it out. So the reason why I came up with this episode is because I'm at a conference. And I actually have some relatives around here. I have an aunt who lives about an hour outside of Orlando in the Villages. Look it up, people, if you haven't checked it out. The Villages it's like a senior community, but it's huge. There's like 100,000 people. And apparently there was like an STD outbreak a few years ago, and it had widespread coverage. And I think you can put together the dots. Some of these seniors, you can put together the dots, but I'm going to tell you anyway. These seniors were hooking up. It's like spring break 1999 or something like that, or the late 60s, and they are having a great fucking time, literally and figuratively. And honestly, it was a cool place. I hung out with my aunt for about a few days several months ago, and there's tons of activities. There's a lot of restaurants and facilities. It's like a golf cart community in a extremely serious way. There's like golf cart paths all over the place. So the other kind of pro is there's not a lot of little kids around. So if you do have little kids, that would be a downside. But if you don't have children, then not having little kids around is kind of a pro. It's kind of a cool thing. So anyway, the Villages are not bad, and if it wasn't in Florida, which it's oppressively hot and humid, and it's sort of indescribable. It's like a wall it's like you stepped into a steam room, but that is just what they call outside here. It's rough. It's pretty rough. Anyway, I'm at this conference, and I have an aunt who lives close by. So my dad actually drove down from Atlanta to hang out with my aunt. And then we met up for dinner. And we went to what's called a Disney Springs? Disney Springs. And it's like an outdoor mall. Nothing better than being outdoors in the humidity and 95-degree heat. But we went there, and it was right after Labor Day. So the pro with that is it wasn't very crowded. Now, it felt fairly busy to me because I don't know what it normally looks like, but my aunt said that it was, wonderful. She said she couldn't believe how underpopulated it was. But anyway, it was cool. And we ate at this restaurant. It was like an Irish pub. I forget the name. But I sat down and started looking at the menu. And I was going to order a beer. I was going to order a something Irish. I got a Guinness, actually. And I was like, wait a second. How much are these beers? $10 for a beer. It was $9 to $10.50 or something like that for just normal beers. Like the Miller Lite was like $9. So, I mean, I know it's Disney, but yeah, my aunt was like, it's Disney. So what are you going to do? It's just a little expensive. And they picked up the bill. We were all going to split it, but they wanted to treat me. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good to me. And it looks like Chelsea is coming up. She's approaching the table here. And yeah, we're not even going to edit this or anything like that.
No editing?
Yeah.
Scary.
We do it raw. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, if you scoot in just a touch here, perfect. And you should be able to hear me pretty good. And go ahead. And so someone's taking a picture. Maybe we will edit it out, but we do like the raw. So Chelsea, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing really good. And I'm just going to play with your levels here.
It's so nice to get to actually meet you in person because we've been internet friends for like 2 years-ish now. So
yeah, and
you're a real person.
I am, and you're a real person too. So today the episode is about like the conference costs, but we can potentially hit that a little bit, but I do want to hear about what you're doing here. And as I was doing the intro, I don't prepare much, so I was like, I think her website is Blogs for Sale, but tell us what your website is.
Yep, you're right, blogsforsale.co. That's a marketplace and a platform for investors who like to buy and sell niche sites. So that's what we specialize in: content sites that are monetized with affiliate marketing, digital products, and ad revenue.
Perfect. And you started it from scratch, right? Can you talk about the origin of it?
I did, yeah. So I started, I've always been a blogger myself, loving blogging back like the Tumblr days. And then I was working at a business brokerage in marketing, and the business brokers were really focused on brick and mortar businesses. And I knew that there's a market for the digital space and for online businesses. So I went through the IBBA. I specialize in content sites. I don't do brick and mortar, and that's just been my focus. And we've really just grown from there over the years. And now we're growing faster than I was expected. So now I have to it's a real business now. It's not just a side hustle anymore.
Right. What's the IBBA?
International Business Brokers Association.
Got it. Okay. And yeah, can you talk a little bit about the growth and like where you are right now? And then I want to back into a couple things too.
Sure, yeah. I actually started herpaperoute.com first. That's where I was sharing like marketing tips and blog flipping tips and stuff like that. And I was just flipping my own sites. And then pretty soon people just kept asking me like, hey, can you help me? Or where should I sell my site? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create a marketplace, and we'll create that space for creators to be able to do that. So that was our startup. That's how it's been, where we started from the ground up. And it's just been going really good from there. And now we're here at Fincon, and we're meeting everybody. It's going to be a good one.
How did you decide to come to Fincon versus like other conferences?
Well, after like COVID, everyone was like locked down, and then I was like, you know what? I think I'm triple vaxxed now. I just want to get out there. So I'm doing tons of conferences now. So this is the plan now for the rest of the season. It's just going to be doing conferences. But FinCon's such a big one. So
right, it is big. Yeah. Do you know how many people were supposed to attend this year?
I don't know. I looked it up, and I saw all different numbers from different sites and sources.
Okay.
So I don't know.
What was the range?
I was seeing like 600 up to like 10,000. So the range was
okay.
I didn't know what to
useless.
believe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I think I went to the one last year in Austin, and I think it was like 800 to 1,000 is what I heard, and it
that
looked
seems
like
reasonable,
that.
Right?
Yeah. And then I heard it was maybe like 3,000 in 2019 in DC. So my guess is maybe in the middle of that. And the space looks pretty big. This is a giant resort and hotel.
Yeah,
so,
it's nice here.
and you just got here like this morning, right?
Yes. Yes.
So have you had a chance to like look around and everything?
Not really. I just kind of saw it driving in. The Uber that picked me up, it was like 6 a.m. from the airport, and he was just like blasting this like club version of Sean Paul, and I was just loving it. I was like, I've been on the red eye, I haven't slept yet, and I was just dancing in the back seat. So it was just good. I got the view coming into the hotel, but I haven't actually checked out anything yet. So hopefully in a couple days I can actually take it in.
It's cool. The pool looks awesome, and then there's a water park.
Yeah.
Which sounds dirty, but I still may check it out. I haven't been to. I loved water parks when I was younger, but I just haven't been in a long time. But yeah, I mean, kids are dirty and everything, so I suspect.
Just go for it. You're on vacation.
And then they have like 5 restaurants. The fitness room is awesome. So anyway, it's a pretty good hotel. So now, how much time do I have with you? Because I know you have to get to the booth.
We've got time.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's quiet in here right now. So when you started the marketplace, what did you envision? You mentioned that it grew faster than you expected. So did you have any goals set out, or you just thought, let's do the next challenging thing and then we'll figure it out from there?
Yeah, in the beginning it was just like I wanted to be able to create that space for people. It was like I saw a need and I could help people in my community, and I didn't realize that there was so many people who are interested in this stuff and nerd out on website investing just like I do, and it's way bigger than when I was getting into it. And now of course we all know it's this huge industry and everyone wants to be in it now, but that was really how it started. And then pretty soon it was just started making more connections and more people wanted bigger sites, and we got the bigger listings, and we just go from there.
When you're hitting a point where it grew faster than you expected, have you had to grow the team? What does the team look like? What are operations like? Is that pretty tough to onboard people and all that?
It's really good now. We've got a really good system. We have 4 listing agents, and so they each represent their own listings, and they support the buyers and the sellers on either side. And they're awesome, and they're all from the States, but they live all over. Like Tay, she lives in Mexico, so it's all everybody can work from their computers wherever they can get Wi-Fi, and it's a good situation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And did you have a background in like growing a team and stuff like that?
No, okay. I definitely did not. I worked in marketing and events planning, so I had some experience in that, and and actually growing a business, I did go to school for this kind of stuff, even though it's very different now what I actually learned back in 2003 in university. But it's just I kind of figured it out as I went along, and watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah. So what was can you tell me about like one of the big challenges that maybe you were stuck on for a little while before you solved it? Maybe it's onboarding people or hiring, or just too many requests coming in and you don't know how to handle it and you want to make sure you provide good service. So anything like that, any big challenges that took a little while to solve?
Yeah, definitely. So hiring was a big one. And when I started, I was a solopreneur in the beginning, and I was doing too much myself. And so that was a big hurdle to overcome. It was like about the first year, I think I was still doing everything myself until I was able to like open it up, bring people on, accept that other people can do it better than I can, and let go of that control. And then that's when everything really was able to scale, because I wasn't the bottleneck, which I had been in that first year. So that was big.
You made it sound like it was fairly quick. How long did it take you to like let go of the control and see that people could do things better than what you were doing?
I was really fortunate because the first 2 team members that I hired, they knew, like, they were just really good. They were on it. They were really excited for the opportunity, for the role. So it made it so much easier for me just to know that I had someone who was so passionate to try and learn. And so, it only really took a couple months of training, and then now they're running with it and training other people now without me having to do it.
Perfect. And how did you find your team members?
They were actually all community members in her paper route community of bloggers. So they were content creators. 2 of them were in my membership, my private mastermind. And so I had that relationship with them, just meeting them on the coaching calls, and I just hit it off with them. And it was just coincidence at the same time. They both asked me if I was hiring or if I had any position that they could get more involved with me. And I was like, you know what? Yes, let's make this happen. And it just kind of opened that up.
Perfect. I've heard that from a couple people too, where instead of like looking externally, like they have all the contacts because of some other work that they were doing, or like if I have the podcast and YouTube, so if I just said, hey, I need help in a certain area, like a handful of people will show up, which is great because it's kind of pre-vetted. If they actually listen to some of the ramblings that I have, then they kind of understand how I work and what's important. So, and I technically only have a few more minutes here. So, and the thing is, there's like not many people around, and the other booth is open. So, we'll sort of wrap up, but we may stick around. So, the cost. So I do want to talk about the cost because that was like the theme. I'm going to run through my cost really quick, and if you have a ballpark idea that you're willing to share, that'd be great too. And you don't have to necessarily talk about the sponsorship and having a booth, but you can if you want.
Happy
I don't know.
to, yeah.
Okay. So for me, the conference fee was $250, so not too bad. Pretty reasonable for the size of the conference. Hotel, kind of expensive, but I think we got a pretty good deal. So it's $200 a night. Plus a $50 like hotel fee, which I think it has internet, water park access, which is well worth it. And I think that's about it. There may be a couple other little things in there, but about $250 a night. The flight was $450, so a little more expensive, but it is Orlando, and there were a lot of kids on my flight because Disney and everything.
Of course,
so one thing I noticed was. Parents give the kids tablets, which is great.
Yes.
Gets them to shut up. Get those fucking kids earphones because they're like
everyone.
playing it loud, and I'm thinking, dude, like that's not much better.
Have to have
headphones. Anyway, I don't know if you have kids, but I don't have kids.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so.
I can't tell him that I'm here in Orlando, right beside Disneyland and Disney World and everything. He would just be so upset. If he's not here this time, so.
So the flight wasn't too bad, and then food I'm not 100% sure because everything's a little bit more expensive. I do usually fast in the morning. I may have breakfast socially or something like that, but drinks will be expensive. I did have my dad was nearby, so I was like, hey, can you bring me like a couple cases of beer? So he did. So yesterday I was like hauling beer up like a college student or something like that. So all in, and I'm estimating $100 a day for food and drink, but that could be off by 50% or 100%. It could be $200 a day depending on how much I drink. I don't know. I'm not sure.
We're here to party.
Yeah. So we're talking like roughly $2,300 for, and I came in early, so Tuesday through Sunday.
Oh, yes.
So little expensive. I don't have a direct ROI from doing this. It's more networking and having fun. But I will be recording several episodes for this show and then Mile High Five, my other podcast. So a couple $1,000, pretty fun. I'm viewing it kind of as a little vacation. I don't tell my wife that, but that's how I view it. So what about you, Chelsea?
Yeah, so same hotel deal. So like $250, $260 a night, and then double that because I brought my team member here. She has a room here too, so that's covered by me. The flights, I flew from Canada, so a little bit more expensive. I think it was about like $1,200 round trip. I went to the lounge. I had a layover in Seattle, so I had to pay for that, and it wasn't very good. So anyone who's thinking about like the Seattle lounge at the airport, it was hit or miss.
What airline?
I was with Alaska, but it's just like this. Anyone
Delta,
could go.
yeah.
You just pay.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't want to sound bougie. It's like, oh, it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It's free drinks, whatever. So that was cool. But then, the Uber and then the actual Fincon price, like the sponsorship, I think I paid about $4,500 for the booth. And then we got a flower wall. That was about $3,500. So it's definitely adding up, But, same thing, don't have an ROI yet, just here, but not really selling anything. We're just giving free valuations and networking and meeting people. So it's really more about relationships for this event. And so far that's all I've spent. Haven't really paid for any food yet, but we're just getting started. So I'm going to get some Grubhub delivered to the hotel. I think that's my plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they do have, we have little fridges in our room, so that's good for beer or food. And then there are microwaves, not in the room, but there's a bank down on the first floor. So if you head down, it's near like the arcade. It's a huge hotel. I think there's like 2,000 plus rooms. So so a little pricey. I didn't do the math really well in my head, but you're looking at like 8 to 10K.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So, and how does that compare to other conferences that you've gotten a booth at?
Yeah, so this one's probably a little bit pricier just because it's on the East Coast more so. I'm coming
sure.
from the West Coast in Vancouver. So we usually go to like Las Vegas or California where it's, the cost is a little bit less for the flights and sometimes even the hotels. But yeah, booths are actually pretty much the same. I've seen some that are much more, and I haven't gone and got those like $10,000 booths. It's just not. I don't really want to drop that much on it yet. But no, I think I'm happy with the investment. I think it's going to be a really good experience, and it's well worth it.
Cool. Yeah, and this is it's a pretty fun conference once you know a handful of people, and I have my podcast co-host for my other show. He knows a lot of people, so he introduced me to a bunch of folks last year. So I mean, even just walking around the hall, I think I saw like 6 people that I knew, which is it's very nice because you don't see them all the time, and then there's some recognizable faces, and then there's going to be big parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So very cool. Well, Chelsea, where can people find you?
You can find me at blogsforsale.co, and you can also find me on Instagram at blogsforsale or at herpaperoute.
Awesome. Very good. Thanks a lot for sitting with me for a bit.
Thanks for having me over. I'll see you at the parties.
All right. See ya. Chelsea just left, and it was great to chat with her. And I wanted to just give a little debrief, but then my man here, what's your name again? Eugene from Tascam.
Yep.
He came over to find out what the fuck I was doing over here. We cuss on the podcast. You don't have to, because I know you're on a professional capacity here.
Thank you.
So he has a booth over here, and he was asking me what I'm doing, and kind of just like, hey, what's going on with this conference and all that. So yeah, we're going to talk about it a little bit, and I figure may as well use all the content I can. And they haven't kicked me out. Technically, I was supposed to leave 5 minutes ago, but we're still sitting here. So Eugene,
yes,
tell me about your role at Tascam and what you're doing over in the booth, and we'll back into it like we were chatting before.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I'm a regional sales manager for Tascam, and I cover a lot of territory. And one of the many aspects of my job is teaching and training folks how to use our products. And our latest product we have right now is our Mixcast 4, which is a podcast editor. It's also content creation. It's a multi-track recorder. It's quite a few things before I even called it a podcaster. So it'll do a whole lot of different things for you, so that you can capture great audio, capture sound effects, and all these other really cool things. So
cool. Yeah, I could tell you're a sales guy. I was like, hey, what do you do? And you're like, we got a new product. And I'm just giving you a hard time. So, okay.
Right.
So you do these like conferences occasionally, but you've never been to Fincon, right?
Yes. No, we've never been to Fincon. I think it was the content creation part of it that caught the attention of my vice president and our show director, and so that's to come on here today. So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I didn't tell you before, this is a paid sponsored spot, so can I just send you an invoice for the check?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
So, okay, perfect. And one thing we were talking about before is like, hey, what is this kind of conference and all that stuff? And it looks like people are looking over here, so they may kick me out, but we'll see how it goes. So it started as the financial bloggers conference, but now there's all these different content pieces. So tons of podcasts, super popular, of course, and then YouTube as well, where audio is just as important or more important than on podcasts. So there's a ton of people with podcasts that are walking around, or people that more likely the people you want to talk to is people that don't have a podcast yet, and they're thinking of starting, and they need to know like what kind of equipment, what kind of options they have. So I see you got mics and stuff set up over there.
Yes, we do.
And what was the product that you mentioned before with basically it's like a mobile recording studio?
Yes, it's the Tascam Mixcast 4.
Okay, cool. And for people that aren't familiar with like the competitor, can you mention the competitors? Like, what is it an alternative to, so people can place it in their mind?
Sure,
what it's
absolutely.
Good for?
Our competition is Zoom. Competition is Roadcaster. In regards to going head to head with the Mixcast 4.
Gotcha.
So when those are just a couple of those, there's tons of ways you can podcast. Very simply by using a USB microphone, use a USB interface. However, what we've really stepped into is the content creation, being creative without actually having to plug into a computer.
Sure.
It can all be done right onto the Mixcast 4 itself.
Gotcha. Which is super convenient. I do have actually what we're recording on here is the same one that I have personally. It's a PodTrack Zoom, and it works well. It's light. It's not as durable as some of the other Zoom products, but I don't really kick around my my gear too much, so it handles it okay.
Yeah.
But I would say probably with some travel, like they would wear more than like some of the more durable products like the H4N, or there's a couple others that are a little more rugged where you could probably drop them and they'd be all right. This would probably crumble to pieces, I would say. So anyway, cool. Eugene, do you have any other questions about like Fincon or anything like that? Because like we were saying, I'm not 100%, and it's quiet in here right now. They just opened up.
Right. I think more or less was the mystery behind it was what is actually going on over there with all these other people that are attending it in regards to what they came here to find out. What they came here to see. I see there's a lot of booths out here where people are offering services of some type of one another. But yes, I think more or less the people I want to run into are those like, hey, I want to start a podcast, or I need to start a podcast, and what I need to do and how I need to do it. And there seems to be like myself and some other folks here that can definitely help people with that.
Right on. Yeah. Cool. And on the other side, there's a bunch of talks happening. So a bunch of people are teaching something in it. I think there's like 2 to 3 or more going on at the same time. So some of them are on blogging and writing. Some of them are about writing books. There's a booth over there for like authors, and then there are podcasters, YouTubers. There are social media influencers, so TikTok, Instagram, like all that kind of stuff, where actually even some of them maybe could use. You guys have like lav mics too?
Oh yeah,
to hook up to
absolutely.
Phones or whatever.
No, we're a legacy company that's been around forever, and we know how to capture audio. That's
got it. Cool. Yeah. So a lot of people just figuring out how to create content. Then there's another side. So it got so big that even people that don't create content, that are just consumers of the content, would come because we all hang out and party. Okay. So it's a very fun conference. Go to the like the happy hours and all this stuff. You guys will have a great time hanging out, meeting people. That's where that's where the deals are made. So some people are going to stroll around and stuff, but when don't come on too strong, Gotcha. But just be cool and people are going to hang out with you.
All right, great.
All right. So Eugene, thanks a lot. And if people want to learn more about Tascam or whatever, where do they go?
Go to tascam.com/US, or that's where you'll find everything about Tascam.
Cool. All right. And I'll just wrap it up here. So this, it was fun, and no one's kicking me out yet, but I'm going to go and hang out with some people. Some of my friends are going to show up soon. It's about beer 30, or almost noon or so.
But something like that.
Anyway, well, we'll end it up here, and we'll catch you on the next episode.